something to believe in. Believe in. Oh yeah, yeah. Believe in. I just wanna give you something to believe in. Believe in. Believe in.
You're tuned in to Grown Folks Production. In the mix with the commish, Nate.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly OMFL podcast show. I am your friendly commish, Nate. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. And I only got one buddy. He's flying over here solo with me, Mr. Big Hurt of the Minnesota Vikings. Hurt, how we doing tonight, bud?
Doing well.
Hurt was tagging me left and right to let me know he was here tonight, and I do appreciate it. What's up, everybody in the chat, Bird, Daniel, RL? Thank you for hanging out. Smash that like button for me. We're going to do a slightly different podcast tonight because it's just me and Big Hurt, so we're just going to have a conversation, a little back and forth. What's up, Bronco Man? And this should be fun, so let's get over here. And let's talk a little OMFL. We're going to do a little 2-minute drill here as we look at weeks 5, 6, and 7. We'll pause in between to get a 1-minute review from Mr. Big Hurt to give some thoughts on how things have went. We are already rolling right along here in week number 8. So let's go ahead and get back here to week number 5. We got the Seahawks and Jets. What a matchup as Meek comes away with a 35-31 victory over Cincyburg. The New Orleans Saints, my New Orleans Saints, come away with a 28-20 victory over Kevin. The D-Money-led 49ers come away with a victory 35-21 over Twinkie. Tim beats Nysonger 24-14. Dwayne continues to flex, but he falls at home. He scores 31 points against one of the best defenses that you could find, but some way, somehow, that strong, mighty Dallas defense gave up 41 to Colin, and the one-time Madden 25 OMFL champion comes away with a big-time victory there in Dallas. Reluctant Pancake, a.k.a. Bronco Man, a.k.a. Randy, comes away with a 1-point victory over Kobe. We got Mr. Nipples. I sometimes wonder if he's plugged in, but he's getting these games in, so we got to give him a little pat on the back. Nipples with a 34-22 victory over Little Koch. Bird with a 37-26 victory over Crazy B-Man. Roger with a 49-17 victory over Logan. Big time win there for the Houston Texans. Massimo comes back to win against Lost Sniper 38-35, and a lot of gold sheets went bust with that one. Mile High with a 34. Jay Bowles with a 34-28 victory over. No, see, I always get them mixed up. Golly. Jay Glaze with a 34-28 victory over Jay Bowles. I'm going to get this right one day. Maniac with a 29-17 victory over Joker. That was a big time win for him. Flurry continues his outstanding season, 26-3 over Luca. And then Denver with a 32-29 victory over Penguins. That was a big-time battle there in the AFC. We're wrapping it up with 2 more games. Big Hurt, your Minnesota Vikings with a 31-21 victory over Trey, who couldn't join us here tonight. And then finally, Bill with a 28-24 victory over the Priestman and the Packers. So a big-time victory there for Bill, but he's struggled a little bit this season. What stuck out to you here in week number 5?
Well, there's 2 things that really stuck out to me, and one game and then just one stat line that I saw. Yeah, and you already talked about it. The Cowboys defense giving up 41 points. I don't care who you're playing or who's playing the Cowboys. If you score 41 points against that defense, like that's something that has to be mentioned. The second thing is, I think game-wise, I want to talk about Roger. Roger puts up 49 points and gets a big win. It wasn't even really much of a game. 49-17, I think it was, over the Chargers. And that's not, like, just a gimme win. Like, Logan is a solid owner, solid
100%.
opponent. And Roger comes out and, like, puts a stamp on the game and, throws 418 yards and has a solid game and just kind of really also played pretty good defense, which isn't Roger like team, but like I mean, it just seemed like he, gave fits, but Stroud 6 touchdowns, and yeah, Rogers and the Texans are, you know, clicking on all cylinders right now, and he got a big win, and that's where he's sitting at. In the OMFL start on this season right now, he's riding high and playing good football.
Yeah, Randy just said in chat, I didn't know this either. He thinks that might have been a CPU game, but either way, Logan's not having the season that he thought he would have. And that's a big time victory there for Roger to continue to find some momentum there. Dallas, though, giving up 41 points, even on the road, is just a shocker to say the very least. There were some other really fun games. That Cleveland and Pittsburgh game could have been a ton of fun to be able to call. I haven't gotten to call a game in quite some time. Your Minnesota Vikings with a 31-21 victory over the Commanders was a big time game. Indianapolis squeaking out a 1-point victory against Kobe, which is just another game that you wouldn't have called on the surface. But man, Kobe is a multi-time champion here and a guy that even with his situation is fighting to the bitter end. Let's look at week number 6 here. You got Logan falling to those same Colts 28-18. You got the Bills with another big time victory 23-20 over Massimo. We got Nipples with a 31-13 victory over Nicesonger. We got another win for Roger 38-28 over Priest, which might be one of the more confusing teams. I don't know what's off this season, but he's like hanging right there in every game, just can't get over the hump. Little Koch bounces back with a 34-24 victory over Trey, who I know is pretty frustrated this season. He can't quite get all the pieces to line up there in Washington. Kevin bounces back with a 21-18 victory over Jay Glaze. My Saints with a 27-20 victory over Fleury. That was a hell of a fun game. Jay Bowles bounces back with a 31-15 victory over Luca. D-Money with a 37-11 victory over Joker. And as good as Joker has been playing this season, that is not a game I thought would go that way. Boy, Dallas bounced back and made you pay for giving up 41, 34-18 at home, man. Those Dallas Cowboys are just, they feel unbeatable sometimes. Tim bounces back with a 31-0 win over Crazy B-Man. Meek with a 35-21 victory over Lost. And then the Colin and the Bears with another shootout back-to-back here for the Bears. They fall to Cincy and the New York Jets 44-38. And then finally wrapping up week number 6, I think another game that made a lot of goal sheets go bust, go pop. It was Twinkie with a 24-17 victory over Bill and those Giants. Man, Bill's struggling this season to get those pieces to line up as well, but for some reason falls to Twinkie, and Twinkie could use this as a momentum starter there for the Philadelphia Eagles. What did you see here in week number 6?
Well, I have to bring up, there's, again, multiple things that you can talk about, but let's go to the 2 heavyweights and the Bears and the Jets. The Jets fall the week before in a tough game, bounces back and plays the mighty Bears, who just came off a huge win against D. Wayne. And they have a classic shootout. Both teams can score a lot of points, and the Jets pull out a 44-38 win over the Bears. That game was a huge game, potentially a Super Bowl matchup, the way these two teams have been playing this cycle. But yeah, I just, that game was, the clash of 2 heavyweights, but also the score and just the way the game played out was one that I have to draw attention to. But there's several other topics that we could cover in this week, but that was just the one that I feel like has to be mentioned.
Yeah, I think also that San Francisco game, he has been so hot and cold. I kind of believe in my heart and hearts, he's just trying to win all those side gold sheet pick'em games, make a bunch of people go bust, earn a bunch of awards, get a bunch of XP, and build for Madden 26. Because when he can turn it on, man, he can turn it on. And getting a win against Joker, who has been no joke, no pun intended. He has played really, really good football this season. That was an impressive victory, even for the San Francisco 49ers. Then finally, the last week that we're going to cover, week number 7 here, we got Tennessee Titans and Kobe. After a tough game 2 weeks ago, he bounces back against Massimo with a 35-17 victory. Little Koch continues a little bit of a warm streak here, 34-3 over Kevin. Penguins bounces back 17-7 over Beal. Dallas continues to roll here. This was a close game. This made a lot of gold cheats go bust, including mine as well. This was a really, really close game. Got away from him right at the very end. Dwayne beats Trey 30-24. Colin with a big victory, 27-21. This was your game. I got to watch it a little bit last night. It was last night. This was super entertaining. Not for you. I know you lost. No one likes when they lose games. This was just an entertaining game to watch. New England bounces back. Lost Sniper with a 31-28 victory over Cincyberg. Crazy B-Man with a 21-14 victory over Maniac, who I felt had found something there, but Crazy gets a big victory there on the road. Jay Glaze, 38-15 over Jay Bowles, and Buddy Bowl wins both of those this season. My Saints with a 38-14 victory over Joker. We just got lucky with a bunch of picks. We'll take it. Here's the shocker of the week. Priest, 24, D-Money, 21. Carolina and Seattle, another super entertaining offensive game. Berg gets a 44-40 victory over Meek. Got to watch this one. It's classic down to the very end. A defensive game here. Nipples with a 17-15 victory over Denver. This might go a long way as we get to the playoffs and then wrapping it up. I remember Nicehunger being in my chat. He's in here tonight. He was talking about his matchup against Mr. Roger. We were talking about what he needs to do, and I just couldn't get it done. 41-27. Roger comes away with the victory. What'd you see in week number 7?
Well, I mean, I could bring up the clash of two Titans again between the Seahawks and the Panthers. I could mention Priest and as you mentioned a minute ago, hot and cold 49ers. We could talk about a lot of things. We could talk about the Bears and the Vikings. Yes, it was a good game. Colin just, came out on top and had a little bit more in the end. But I think the big thing for me is going to be the Browns and the Ravens, just because the Ravens are 6-1. Browns made their run to the OMFL Bowl last year. We've seen a lot of points scored, and this was a low-scoring defensive battle game. Both teams typically can play pretty good offense, and seeing this low-scoring game in a divisional game where the Ravens kind of continue their dominance and holding on to that division, whereas the Browns, I feel like, needed that win to kind of stay in the thick of things. They're not out of it completely, but they've got a pretty big hill to climb on the backside now. But I think the Ravens, that was a big game for them. Big game for him to, bounce back from the team that just went to the OMFL Bowl, but also like in the thick of things where the Steelers only, have 2 losses, the Bengals only have 2 losses. And so Nipple, to get that and pretty much solidify himself as 2 seasons ago, where he was a OMFL Bowl representative. He's kind of having that type of season again. And so that was a big divisional win for him.
Only 148 offensive yards, only held the ball for 14 minutes, a little over 14 minutes, but the defense, 6 turnovers on the game, a great AFC battle. Let's see how that plays as we get into the playoffs, but that could be a little foreshadowing. Bronco Man Randy with a great stat line here in the chat. He said, Lost Sniper beat Cincy last week, who beat Colin the week before, but he's losing 31-7 to Maniac currently. The OMFL, it is about as unpredictable can get. And there's just 2 of us. So we're going to turn our attention to the special topic tonight. And I asked the guys to think about impact players. And so we're going to look at some impact players that we think are happening here early in season 115. There's a lot of football left to go. We're just right almost to the halfway mark. Of course, halfway mark's kind of weird with a 17 game season so far. But Big Hurt, what are some impact players that you're seeing so far early in this season?
Well, I mean, one, I think, is Jermichael Hopkins for Tampa Bay. Being a running back, we all know that Kevin's an offensive guy, but getting a guy like Hopkins in the backfield, leading the OMFL in rushing. Yes, that's correct. Leading over Dallas, over Jonathan Brooks at Carolina, over Montel Meadows. So the fact that he's got that, typically, I think we are a little bit more accustomed to Tampa Bay being in the passing leaders, but seeing him in the rushing leaders, I'm not surprised. He's an offensive guru, and when he figures things out, he's tough to stop. But I just think it's interesting to see him there at that top of the rushing leaders. But I'm also going to throw out there, I mean, some of the receivers that we're seeing out there,
Crazy
pretty
numbers.
standard. I feel like Lowry, Hall, Adunes, Perry Tyson, those guys are guys that we all pretty much anticipated being there. But the one that I'm going to throw out there and is the quarterback, it's Mark Anthony. The guy that's played solid football for years, and now this season he's leading the OMFL in passing. And I think like a lot of times you've doubted yourself and whatnot, but you've got the like combo of a All-American, Pro Bowl, Hall of Fame quarterback, and you got the Pro Bowl, Hall of Fame receiver combo there with Howe and Mark Anthony, and it's showing this season. And you're having that success that you've been trying and searching for, and to see him leading the OMFL above Star, White, McDimes, like that's impressive. And so I think that's something that needs to be noted. But I'm also going to throw out there Jimmy Polanco, like Massimo with the Dolphins is a guy that can air it out with the best of anybody. He's 1-6, but like, where did he come from? You know, I think the wins need to translate for me to give a little more credit, which is why I stick with the guy that's been the most impressive for me is the quarterback Mark Anthony for your Saints, just because you're getting the wins. You're 5-3, you're in the division, whereas Tampa Bay's pushing 500, running, you know, he's in the thick of things. Whereas the only flip side, like I said, with Blanco, he's 1-6 with the Dolphins. So the numbers are there. You're behind. Of course, you're going to pass it out, air it out a little bit. But yeah, Mark Anthony and Hopkins are probably the two big guys for me that I pointed out pretty quickly.
I think one of the more underrated quarterbacks that when his career is done, whether it's this Madden or if he comes into next Madden, but Brad White is just gotten it done for a couple of different cycles, getting it done for the Seahawks once again, 24 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, only 9 sacks. We've come to sort of just brush over that, but he's playing really, really good. Two other guys, though, actually, I'd say 3 other guys. CJ Stroud for Roger clicking, 19-8, 70% completion percentage, only 7 sacks so far this season. Jordan Love quietly having a really, really good season for the Titans, 18-3, 64%. He has been sacked 16 times, but he is super efficient, averaging 271, almost 272 yards per game. And then finally, a guy that we probably also don't talk enough about. It's only his second season, but Jack Faber of the Dallas Cowboys, 19-6, 68% completion percentage, only 5 sacks. It's so, if you're playing him, it's frustrating because Dwayne is so efficient. You never get to the quarterback. He's not going to pass for a ton of yards, only 226 yards in the season so far, but a 119.1 QBR. I mean, it's going to be one of the tops in the leagues of guys that actually start here. They're having really, really good seasons. Looking at your rushing leaders, of course, we know about McMullins. You touched on Hopkins, who's having a really great season as a rookie. Bruce Allen, already 9 touchdowns on the season. Jonathan Brooks, I faced him last night, already 7 touchdowns. Jerome Mayberry, a guy quietly having a great season there for Tennessee. All these stats starting to pop out for the Tennessee Titans. I'm afraid we're going to have to start taking some serious note. You've already touched on the wide receivers. I feel like some of these stats are just stupid. Jarius Tyson, got to face him in week number 1. The guy could do everything. Already 14 touchdowns on the season, only 32 receptions. I mean, the guy is just an absolute stud. And then if you look and turn the attention a little bit to the defense here, You can see a guy that's been getting it done here for Jacksonville, Devin Lloyd. He's already got 24 solo tackles, 8 tackles for loss. Looking at some of your tackles for loss leaders, Brian Larson already has 18. Micah Parsons already 15, 7.5 sacks from Micah Parsons. That's why that Dallas team is just continuing to truck along. Miles Murphy for the Bengals, 6.5 sacks. And then looking at your interception leader, Tyreek Woodland, another guy that I think underratedly every season is right there in the Pro Bowl, right there in the Defensive Player of the Year nominations, just getting it done. He's got 11 interceptions already this season, and the Seattle Seahawks continue to get it done. I think I jokingly called him my regular season champion. That continues to look a little true here as he continues to win in the regular season, but it's always going to come down like, what can he do when we get to the postseason? Ready to open up the OMFL mailbag?
Of course.
Let's open up the mailbag. It's 2 weeks worth of questions, so you and I are going to have a lot to unpack here. Mr. Twinkie says, when you're in a slump, what do you do to get out of it? I think that's a great question. Mr. Twinkie only gave me 2 questions on one line, so it is what it is. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is just finishing his thought. He said change playbooks or play calling, more runs or more passes. What do you do, Big Hurt, when you find yourself in a little bit of a rut?
I mean, there's a couple different things, and I guess I have to kind of like hit the reset button and look back at like what is causing that rut. You know what I mean? Is it me just not being comfortable, me feeling like I don't know what play to call, or not like there's a couple of So I would say one is hitting the lab and just kind of getting more comfortable.
Yeah.
Like seeing things. And sometimes that's where I said maybe it's not like you're making the wrong read, but the playbooks, you feel comfortable with the plays, and you're just like, man, I'm just not seeing things. That's just going to the lab, playing against the defense, just and kind of breaking things down, and where you can make mistakes in the lab and it doesn't count against you, but you can then also kind of experience trying a few things and see what that looks like, and maybe you see something that you don't see in a real life game because you're afraid you're under the barrel of pressure or whatever it is. So the lab is one thing, but I would also say, like, if you are feeling like a playbook, maybe change some things up, play style. I know I've hit myself I think 2 seasons ago, or was it last season? I was struggling and I made a playbook change, and I've been on that playbook since. But I was struggling to run the ball. I was struggling to consistently feel like I was getting any type of running game. I will say that my passing game, I don't feel as comfortable, but I also know as a football 101 and coaching football in real life, like if you are one-dimensional and have a great passing game, great, you're going to be good. But you're going to run into teams that, like the Cowboys, who have great pass rushers and great secondary, and they're just going to take advantage of you. And you have to be able to run the ball and limit possessions for teams like Chicago, teams like the Jets, teams like the Texans, teams like the Cowboys, teams where if you can control the clock and limit those possessions and put your defense out there against those teams less, you're going to have a better chance to A, get a turnover, and B, get exposed and just basically turn it into a track meet. So I think part of it is getting comfortable and being able to be multi-dimensional running and passing. Maybe the passing game takes a hit because of that playbook isn't fit quite right, or you need to build your custom playbook and find that run game and build it off of that playbook that is a stock playbook that you feel better about. But I think those are the 2 things that I've noticed. And then the last thing I would say is if you're throwing a lot of picks, that left stick, moving the left stick, is something that I've always felt like, to me, is something that really gets me in high turnovers or in sticky situations, because I feel like I'm moving that left stick too much, leading the pass or trying to step up in the pocket and throw where I'm moving. I need to set my feet and just play a little more natural football. And so those are the things that I've always tried to kind of, when I say hit the reset button, is when I'm struggling, thinking back, what's going on, what's wrong. And those are the things that I typically come across.
Yeah, I completely agree with a lot of that. I would say There's nothing for me that works 100% of the time, but I found a couple of go-tos and I don't know that I have any secrets at all. I'm one of the more losing teams here in the OMFL the last two cycles, but I would say that hitting that practice field can be really key. It can help you find some rhythm. It can help you gain some confidence, which I think is really important. It will not translate. It does not play the same. But if you can keep sticking at it, I think you will find the breakthrough. You'll get over the hump and you'll start to find some success. Reiterate what Big Hurt said, you cannot turn the ball over at all costs. You cannot I'd much rather punt the ball 12 times than turn the ball over 12 times. And if you can limit the turnovers and get them as close to zero or run them at zero as possible, you will find more luck more often than you don't find luck. And I think that's part of the progression here in the OMFL is just to get the momentum, to get some confidence. And then the final thing I would say that I've done to sort of get out of the slump would be analyzing your team. If there were some players that like were right on the cusp of each other, you didn't know who to start, or maybe you feel like you can move some players around, like give another player a start. See if they play better. See if you can start to find some momentum. Maybe analyzing your team, you realize the left side of my line is stronger than the right. I'm going to run left more often than not. My guys have really good finesse blocking, so I may try to lean to the outside a little bit more than I do power running down the middle. I have really great play action. Let me make sure I'm running enough play actions in here. So I think really analyzing your team and finding out stat-wise, what do they do really well? And are there some players that you can mix up to see if you just find a little bit more momentum? Sometimes just the change gets you unstuck. Flurry with a great question next. He says, have any tips on how to push through the fatigue and not lose all your momentum and passion during the dog days of late cycle Madden? I'm going to go first on this one. I think it is just a mindset. You got to find what it is that you enjoy. For me, the change this season has really been a mind shift change. I listened to something the other day. Oh, where did I hear that now? Poop. I don't even remember where I heard it from. I mentioned it on one of the podcasts. Or maybe it was one of my own personal streams, but it was this idea around identity. And I think a lot of the reasons why, for me, I can only speak for me, I get frustrated on stream and it starts to snowball on me is because sort of it represents my sort of character and my identity of like, if you lose all the time, it's too important. And ultimately, none of this matters. It's all make believe. It's all fake. It's all just fun and community. And the moment I let that sort of go, and it's just like, let's just have fun. Like, I'm tired of chasing sliders. I'm tired of arguing about settings. Like, I just want to go have fun. Find something that's fun for you, and you'll fly through it. And I think the GM building is fun. The player development can be fun for me. And this mind shift has helped me figure out that, like, figuring out how to make something work when it hasn't been working and like tweak and move and try different things has been really key. What about you, Big Hurt? Anything that you do to sort of get through those late dog days of summer?
Yeah, I actually want to take a step back, and I forgot to say something about the last question, and you mentioned it, and I was like, oh, that was one thing I wanted to say. I think building tendencies and not trying to like get stuck in like a groove, like always running the ball at first down or always running the same play out of the same formation. Try different things because that will also help guys here are quick to pick up tendencies and stuff. So that's one thing. But the advancing to the next question, the dog days of summer, I think that's going to be true in real life, in sports, and any game you play. The replay value tends to get less, obviously, or you're less interested as the end of the cycle. But I think for me, and I don't mean this in a bad way, is taking a step back and thinking about what is the purpose of you playing in the OMFL? What is your purpose? Is it to fill time? Is it because you like football? Is it because you're here for the community, the camaraderie? Like, what is it? And secondly, really dive deep. You know, for me, I think you guys have heard it plenty of times. For me, it's the show. It's taking time away from work, my kids, my life, as fast paced and as busy as I am, to come home and unplug and talk about it like the game. I love football. You guys all know that I coach, but I'm here to play the game. Well, win or lose, this show, buildings, talking about it, and being around the guys in the community for me is just what makes this place and makes it easy to be like, yeah, I need to play my game and I want to play my game. And the competition level is, I think, is the parity's been at its best this cycle, and it's been in many Maddens. So I think that's also like knowing that I'm going to get a fair game, whether, I'm in a football mood. I'm going to jump on and play a versus and play now game. Probably going to see a bunch of bull crap and just people doing stupid shit. Whereas if I play a game here, I know about 95% of that game, there's going to be a player or two. We all do it. We're human, and whatnot. But for the most part, the integrity is at its best, and the league, the competition level, and the respect that I have, at least for the guys in this league, and I hope it's that way for everybody else, makes it fun.
I agree. Maniac has joined us. I don't know if he is in any place to talk, but feel free to unmute and jump in on the next question if you are, Mr. Maniac. This comes from Randy. Says, through roughly 7 weeks and some change in season 115, what has surprised you the most? We talked a little bit about surprises, or at least impact players. I think I want to piggyback off of something you wrapped up the last thought of, and that is the engagement and the competitiveness in season 115, I think, has been the biggest surprise for me. People are still pretty engaged. Sure, we've got some summer trips and stuff coming up, but overall, the engagement has been there pretty good. We've had some pretty good advances. I mean, we're already at week number 8. That's been one of the bigger surprises for me. What about you, Hurt?
I don't like to talk about settings, but I will say we turned the abilities back on. I think I was anticipating like an extremely high number of interceptions with abilities back on, just because I felt like DBs were like clueless, and you just throw these like play action bombs, and it still happens, but I just feel like the abilities guys, like those elite players, jump routes and do whatever as a DB, and so the interceptions totals, the sacks, just some of those things that are video game like ish numbers, I thought those would be through the roof again. And I would say 7 weeks, through 7 weeks, we're seeing guys still throw the ball. We're seeing pretty high scoring games. But the engagement's there. I don't feel like it's been a lot of complaining or whatnot. And so I will say I'm not as engaged or plugged into the chat with my busy schedule, but I would say I haven't seen it as much. So I think that's a good thing. And I think that's just something that we, I preach this to my actual football team, is we got to worry about and focus on the things that we can control. We can control the product of the game, the settings, we can tweak them a little bit, but it is what it is. And again, that's kind of going back to my last thing, is find the purpose of why you're here. Find the purpose of why you joined the OMFL. That doesn't change the settings. That doesn't change the game. Nate's not in control of that. The board isn't in control of that. There's small things that they can do to adjust it and try and make it better. But overall, the product is the product. And so for me, we haven't complained. And I think that's making things move on a little bit better for me.
I haven't seen Maniac unmute, so I'm just going to assume that he hasn't had time. Maniac, if you hear this, feel free to unmute and we'll get you to come and join us. Oh, he unmuted.
Hello.
Any thoughts, Mr. Maniac, on what was the? I already forgot the. Any surprises through week 7 or 8 now?
I mean, there is definitely seems to be a good bit parity. I mean, guys are beating some guys that we wouldn't think. I know there's probably some guys that are kind of like checked out for the summer or whatever, but it looks like, that there's good parity across the board. And I definitely do think the players are playing better on what we've got going right now. Definitely with the abilities back on. I hate abilities, but it's almost like you can't live without them almost. So it's a love-hate relationship, I guess. So, but yeah, for the most part, man, I'm hanging in there, and my team hasn't played like the way that I've wanted so far, but definitely, it's just some things you just got to deal with and roll with the punches and make it, the best that you can. And I'm hoping to maybe call some games. I would like to start doing some stuff, calling some games. That's probably like the most fun I ever have, just in Madden, is just calling other games, seeing things happen on the fold and stuff. But yeah, that's like a loaded answer to that question. But anyway,
you got that NHL itch right now. So yeah, there's no calling games right now. We're playing some NHL. This one comes from Mr. Joker. He says, now that we got a few games under the belt, who's the surprise so far? And I love him, but he did say spell surprise with a Z and write so far as one word. It's a tattoo artist, so just don't ask Joker to write surprise on your body anywhere. Also, what are your predictions for Super Bowl teams? Joker, I'm just kidding, because Joker could beat me up and probably murder me, so please don't do that. I've already given my Super Bowl prediction. I don't remember what it is. I'd have to go back and look up at it, but I still really like the Jets. I still really like the Colts and the Bengals. I think those are all good AFC teams. NFC teams, you got Cowboys, Bears. I can't buy into the Seahawks until I see them win in the playoffs. And you still got the champion Panthers. There's so many teams. It's still pretty open. Surprises
Saints.
for me so far. No, I'm not a Super Bowl team. Surprises for me so far would be Colts, our last undefeated team. I thought we might have some more undefeated teams. The Bears have been really, really dominant in a lot of areas. The Texans sitting at 5-2. And I'd also throw the Jets in there at 4-3. That team is so dominant. I thought that they would win more games than the way that they have. And those are so. I'd also probably throw the Chargers and Lions in there. Both are sitting at 3-3. I thought we might see a little bit better production from those guys. Maniac, I'm going to go with you first. What are your surprises? And if you want to remind everybody, what are your Super Bowl predictions?
Let's see. My Super Bowl predictions are going to be. I'm still throwing the Jets in the hat, even though I'm liking the Colts. The Colts are definitely kind of a surprise team here. Like you said, undefeated right now in the season. But my Super Bowl predictions were going to be the Jets and the Cowboys. I think I've rolled with that prediction the last 2 seasons. So. I'm still going to roll with that, but I do like the fact that we've seen some of these guys seem like they get in the playoffs, and they don't have the best record in the regular season, but they still make a push and get into the OMFL Bowl, and you saw that with the Panthers and the Bears also. They got trophies, so that's a pretty amazing thing there as well. But I definitely say the biggest surprise is the Colts are the last undefeated team. And then I really thought that with the Eagles getting that quarterback, that number 1 quarterback, I really thought he would have a little bit better season going than what he's got right now, 1-6. I know that's a little tough. But I hope he sticks with that quarterback and continues to grow and build with him as well. But yeah, I mean, there could be a lot of surprises. 49ers at 3-5. But the other one I would really say too is the Browns 2-5, coming off a bowl season and then going 2-5 so far in the season. Really thought he was probably going to be pushing again, but again, some guys are taking trips and stuff like that, and it's just that time of year, and there's more things important than than Madden. Family time and stuff
Is
like
there?
that.
No. Big Hurt.
For me, I think I would say the Browns definitely is the biggest shock for me at 2-5, being that he had the dominance last year. I would also say the Broncos at 3-4, they had a pretty strong year. The Ravens back at the top. I don't know that it's a shock in the record, but I would say it's more of a shock that we are this late into a cycle and Nipples as engaged as he is. That's more the shock for me. Just because I feel like wintertime there's less stuff to do and your Madden's still newer, and you get closer to like spring and summer and cruises and everything else that's going on, and yeah, we all know what he likes to do. So I would say I'm not shocked that the Colts are 6-0. I would say I'm shocked that there is no other undefeated team. I think the AFC West as a whole, the entire division, is just a shock to me. The Broncos, the Chargers, the Raiders, the Chiefs, as much of their struggles. I would also say that the East. I thought the Jets and the Patriots and the Bills, I view those three teams as three of the top upper echelon in the AFC, in the AFC. And they're all kind of right around 500, beating up on each other, and just have had some tough games with big matchups like the Jets we talked about here a little bit ago. And then on the NFC side, I think for me, no surprise, Dallas, Chicago, Seattle, and Carolina. I think those are the four top teams. I think that's the way it's been for a couple cycles, but I still am just blown away by the Niners being below 500, and the Giants at 2-6. Like, Bill is such a solid defensive-minded player and builds and plays so tough when you play him. And I know he's in a tough division with Trey and Dwayne, but like, I just think that guy is a guy that's like a playoff bound team, and he's just a headache anytime you match up against the Giants. And to see him at 2-6 is very shocking to me.
Yep, I agree. This one comes from our buddy Nipples. Matter of fact, let me get Mr. Maniac in here now that he's with us. This one comes from our buddy Nipples. He says, when closing on a house, how long does it take to have Wi-Fi? This is a Madden question, because if there's no Wi-Fi, there's no Madden. Clearly, he's got that figured out because he's been playing his games about a week. I don't know what it was for you. This one comes from Colin. A quarter of the way in. Thoughts on these settings? Going to you first, Hurt. What do you think about these settings a quarter of the way through? We've touched on it a little bit already tonight.
I also got to mention one of the biggest surprises is the College World Series road to Omaha. A lot of top dogs are falling, and LSU is currently losing to an 8-32 Little Rock team in the finals of the regional.
But
I'll pass that along. Quarter of the way through, I already touched this. I think the settings are the settings. Like, I hate to even give my opinion on settings, because it's just something that, for me, I've become, like, again, I said to my football team, control what you can control. Settings aren't something that, we can control them, sliders, but at the end of the day, like, we have to find a way to just play the game as a community and what's competitive. And if that's all pro, all Madden, I really don't care. I just want to play, and I think the parity is there. So settings to me, abilities, all that stuff, like, I just kind of become immune to even talking about that stuff, because it's just nothing but negativity. So for me, I'm good with where it's at because the parity's there.
Maniac.
I think the settings are good. I've kind of taken the same approach as Big Hurt. I've tried to not dwell on the settings like in the past, where you and I have spent like half our Madden life trying to figure out settings and stuff.
Can we pause real fast? I just want to point out LSU's tied real quick. Just this Big Hurt jabbing at me over here. All right, go ahead, Maniac. Sorry about that.
But yeah, I mean, the settings are the settings, and the only time I've actually looked at settings is because I just started an offline franchise, just meddling around creating players and different stuff, just kind of looking at the things for next Madden, hopefully, or whatever. But that's the only time I've actually cracked open the settings because it's just like I'm, kind of washed out with all the setting stuff and the game is where the game is. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that don't work properly, and if you probably watch my stream, I complain sometimes about it a little bit more than I should. God forgive me, but that is what it is, and just try to deal with it and move on and play the best game you can, and there's always tomorrow.
Good thing for you, God forgives. So I think you're going to be okay. I would just repeat what both these guys have said as I'm sitting here stumbling over my words. I've got nothing to add. Even Maniac can't help himself. He means well, like his heart is in the right place. But as he mentioned to me about the injury sliders, I just mentally, I can't continue to have the conversations. It is what it is. I'm learning how to play the game with what we got. It still drives me insane, the sort of arcadiness that is there in All Pro, but it is what it is, and it feels fine to me. I mean, I'm not having fun. So Twinkie says, and this is a little weird question here, Twink. He says, what best way or easiest way to bring more than one import into 2025 new season of Madden? Woo, Mr. Twinkie. I know Mr. Twinkie is a very successful man, but the way he wrote that, I know what he means. How do I bring more than one import into Madden 26? That's easy, Twinkie. There isn't a best way, and there isn't an easiest way. There is literally only one way, and that is you have to play all your games. So everybody gets one, and then if you play all your games, everybody gets another one. And then if you pay to or donate, then you get another. And that one is just like a perk that you get for donating to this community. So that is the only way to get more than one import. Play all your games and then be a platinum donation member. Yeah, that is really the only way. All right, Tim, what team with a good record would you consider a pretender? Saints. What do you think, Big Hurt? Contender, or team with a good record that you think is a pretender?
For me right now, I'm going to throw it out there. I just think it's the Ravens. And the Ravens because it's nipple and we're in June. That guy's got to be have like a cruise lined up at some point. And he's got to be going hitting up a strip club or doing some lying off of a stripper's butt. I don't know what he's got going on, but he's got to have something crazy lined up in the month of June. And there's just, I'm like I said, I'm not shocked that it's the Ravens at 6-2. I'm just shocked that it's the final season and he's 6-2.
Maniac.
I mean, the Ravens are probably one from the AFC. I mean, you could look at the Bengals. They've struggled all the way, up until this season. Things have kind of clicked for them so far. Right now, they're 6-2. Steelers, Texans. I mean, I'm starting looking like the AFC as a whole is kind of struggling right now because we ain't got but like 4 or 5 teams with actually winning records right now. So there's probably a plethora of guys there that could be in that category. I don't think your Saints are, man. I think you've got a chance to get into the playoffs really well. You always have to kind of look at the Seahawks. I know he's had really good success right now, but
said it.
He's one of those ones that will lose. He'll be 15-1 or 16-1 and lose the very first game of the playoffs. And it's just been his luck, unfortunately, for the poor guy. But but that's probably one. I mean, Cardinals. If you looked at when he posted this message, I think the Cardinals were probably 4-0, 4-1. And now he's 4-3. So there's a lot of things that's happened within the last just week or so and a couple weeks within the Madden weeks anyway. But there's those guys that started out hot and then all of a sudden they've kind of had hit a wall and they've lost three or two games straight. So that's always, those guys are kind of when you start seeing those teams like that and stuff, you start going like scratching your head like, yeah, they might be pretenders, but that's kind of where I would look at that point right now.
He also reversed it. He said, what team with bad record would you consider a contender still? I would say Bills, Lions, Falcons. I would not consider the Cardinals with a bad record because they're at 4-3. I don't think that is a bad record. I'd also say Commanders and Titans. Those would be my last couple teams. I want to say 49ers, but I still think he's thrown this last season. I'm going to start with you this time, Maniac. What was the team with a losing record?
Yeah, Commanders. And you never know what's going on with D Money. I mean, I don't know if he's decided he's going to set this one out, or is he going to put forth an effort to really try to get himself in position to get in playoffs. So he's always one that has the capability. Falcons, Buccaneers, Lions. I mean, all those guys right there really could turn it around, and we've saw them in the past. Make a run to get into the playoffs. So definitely those from the NFC side. AFC, I think you can go no further than the Titans. I know I just beat the Patriots, and he's fixing to go on a trip, so he's probably going to be really playing behind the 8 ball later on the rest of the season. But I think the Raiders and the Broncos are a couple other teams too. We've seen the Broncos make a deep run last season. Here he is at 3-4, so I think he would be a good candidate to turn things around before the season's over with.
Hurt, losing record, but still a contender.
The entire AFC West.
Ooh.
I would say for me, D Money. I mean, if he locks in, that's somebody that could easily get their season turned around. A tough division could draw a playoff wild card. I think Trey at 3-4 still not out of the woods. And then I think for me, I don't know. Kobe's another one. I know he's got going on in life, but I'll just say, for me, if he's locks in and gets a few things going his way, he could draw. Tough division within the Colts and Bronco, Rainy Man, whatever the alias's name is. But the Colts are tough. They're 6-0. They're out to a fast start. Texans are 5-2, but I still think Kobe could draw a playoff wild card spot potentially. And Maniac mentioned it. The AFC's like 4 teams, and it's wide open. So I would say that's probably the list for me. I think the AFC's a little deeper. I think Tim dug a big hole. He's only 1 game back from me, but Chicago is going to be there. The South looks like it's got 2 teams. And then I think the Cardinals and the Seahawks. And then, that only leaves 1 spot left. So I think the Lions potentially could still be obviously get a playoff spot, but he's got a tough schedule and kind of digging a quick hole early where he has had to climb out is hurt.
Randy says, what has been your personal favorite season this cycle, whether it's been due to your team's success or overall parity and fun aspect of games or another reason? I really, again, I'm not beating this horse. I'm just answering the question. I really enjoyed the All Madden season. That was my funnest season so far. I'm having fun right now, but I'm winning. It's easy to have fun when you're winning. I think overall, I really enjoyed the All Madden season. Big Hurt, what about you?
I don't remember what season it was, but it was my first season with the Vikings. I kind of got in and got to make some moves and do what I could do with this team. I started off with the Falcons and had a rough start and just didn't. It's easy to start the new cycle, a new game, and be like, "Oh, things are great." But for me, I couldn't figure things out, gameplay. There was nothing settings or anything. I just struggled. I couldn't find any rhythm with the team. I wasn't gelling right. It just wasn't vibing things. And I made the change over to the Vikings and got some players, and I've been building since. And I've had fun since then, since becoming the Vikings, and kind of using this team has been fun. So I would say in the last 2-3 seasons.
Maniac.
I think from the aspect of personal success, I really enjoyed the first 2 seasons. Obviously, I made it to the bowl game. I made it to the AFC Championship. But I think as an overall gameplay, and I wasn't that successful that season. I made it to the wild card, lost first in the wild card, but it was season 3, and that may have been the all Madden season.
Yeah, I think so.
It just seemed like the game did play different and was a little bit more, I guess, realistic feeling, even though I didn't have the personal success that I had in the first 2 seasons. But I think overall, the game, the fun aspect and kind of the chess match aspect, I guess, was probably the best during that season.
Twinkie says, will the winless teams win a game? At this point, we only have one winless team. That's our good buddy, Mr. Nice Songer. So, round fire, what do we think? Do the Jaguars win a game? I say yes.
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 Well, there you go. Easy cheesy. We get right through that one, Twinkie. Twinkie with these import questions. These could have just been DMs to me, but at least he's putting them here for points. He says, when you move an import over to the new league, is it the stats at the end of the season, ratings and stuff, or is it what we begin with? Just curious. Twinkie, we literally will make a video at the end of Madden. We will get through to the preseason, advance it to week 1, stop and make videos of every player, contract, stats, everything. And that's what will get remade in the new league. What you won't get are the bonus coach points. So any bonus speed or bonus acceleration or whatever those plus or minus numbers that you get because of morale or coach bonuses, you won't get those, but you will get the player exactly as they sit in the very end of Madden 25. Randy says, what is your prediction for the number of owners with new teams in Madden 26? I'm going to call it at 6.
I'm going to say 4, not me.
I'm going to say 6 or more.
There you go. Be
Unless
interesting.
D-Wayne comes knocking on my door and I'm changing teams.
Yeah, of course. But I don't think that'll happen, even if his wife is feeding him whiskeys. I still don't see that happening.
Please do. Whatever. This is D-Wayne.
I will
I'll
say,
send you the bottle.
I was a little frustrated by some comments in my chat the other day. It's probably the only time I've been frustrated this season. I let it get to me just for a few minutes, and there will be players that do not get invited back. And I know every time I say that, I actually go to do it and the board votes me down and talks me out of it. So there may be some teams changing because players don't get invited back. But I'm just sort of tired of bad attitudes. Anyway, D. Wayne got us a question here. I missed D. Wayne on the show. He says, watching Nate's stream against Carolina, you talked about the C route. I don't remember talking about the C route being ran better by the cornerback than the wide receiver. Yep. Then I go watch the route take place, and the cornerbacks look clueless. Why do you think these defenders guard react certain routes better than others? That's a really good question. I can't personally. I know Maniac has a theory. You can hear him smacking his gums as soon as that question came out of my face. I don't know why they act clueless sometimes. I've watched my 92 overall cornerback or 90 overall cornerback with 97 speed, toe and toe with the receiver, never put his hand up on a play. And then I watch cornerbacks like on this C route. I remember exactly which one. It was off to the right side where the cornerback literally runs the route better than the receiver. He's there 4 seconds before the receiver who knew where the play was going. I have no explanation. And the one I would give, people would combat with me and say they don't believe it. I think it's all pro. I think all pro is dumbed down. I don't mean that means we're dumber or can't play on higher modes. I just think that mode is dumbed down. It is made to pick up easier because they understand most adults or most players won't play rookie. That's for like little kids. They want all pro, and the NFL and Madden want to sell numbers. They want to sell big plays. They want to sell highlights. They want to sell the crazy pick sixes, the big deep throw. And that's why all pro plays the way it plays. And all Madden, I believe, has morphed from that sort of competitive. Maniac says it better than I because he used to be a game changer, but that competitive scene to more of the sim style scene that we all play. But that's my theory. Gumsmacker, you go.
Yeah, my theory is basically, like, if you look at the influencers that influence this game now, and it used to be like when I was a game changer, it was guys from the community that were deeply involved in like franchise stuff and the overall gameplay, and now you see like a lot of guys where the influencers are more the competitive crowd, where they go play competitive at these tournaments and different things like that. I do
or
think
non-CFM
that,
players like old boy that lives in New Orleans. I can't remember his name now, but I'm not a big fan.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking, and I can see his face.
Madden
I can't think of his name right now, but
crazy name now.
Yeah,
little 4'3" guy. What's his name? Somebody help me out here in the chat.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, sorry, I derailed us. I was really being joking.
No.
I've met him I haven't met him. I'm sorry. I've walked by him a few times at like wrestling events.
I'm sure he's probably like a really nice guy.
Maybe
meet him in person and stuff.
I just know that I've reached out many, many times, and he's just totally blown me off. And I just don't like people that think they're bigger wigs than they really are. I'm like, brother, you're just a YouTuber who talks about Madden. Why don't you chill? You're not like a world power here. Why don't you chill out a little bit, okay?
But these games are influenced by guys that play competitively. They go in, and these guys look for things that work, look for things that don't. I don't know why in the coding that some routes will work, and it's so odd because like one Madden, the cornerbacks will never cover a C route. I think it was like 2 or 3 Maddens ago. That was the go route for everybody to go to. I mean, that was the go-to route. You get the C route. If they were in man coverage on the C route, it was a big play nearly every time you did one of those routes. Now it's like it don't do anything. Zone coverage. I mean, you got to pick it the perfect time to do that route to even get anything out of it. But I just think like sometimes they dumb things down again because they build the game with these guys that, and this is where the switch stick come from. I think it was all these guys because these guys, they switch to make plays, and so if they make it to where the CPU does everything for you basically, then these guys really have no reason why to switch. So again, I think that's the reason why some routes are covered better, some routes are not, because they build it to where the guys can switch on and make the play, make the highlight reel, whatever, blah blah blah, and all that junk. But I wish that they would do something to where and they have the sim and the competitive style, but I don't think they understand completely how to really separate them. Truly, I don't think they understand really how to separate those two type of styles. And if they could ever figure it out, listen to the right people that want this style, kind of like the way we play. We want ratings to matter. We want those things to matter. We want the guys to create those opportunities. If you got a 99 cornerback that you're going up against a 77 wide receiver, your guy should be all over that guy all day, all night, and never be open, basically for the rest of the game. And we've seen that happen so many times, but in real life, you'll have a shutdown cornerback that will never let one of the rookies, breathe the whole entire game. He'll just make a mockery of him. But if they could ever figure that out, then I think you could see where one route wouldn't dominate. But I think, again, because they build the game for these switch guys, that the game suffers for the rest of us that want to play a real sim, and the word loosely, sim style, and allow ratings to matter and allow your player to make the play that, hey, you built him up for this, he should be able to do it.
Before we go to Big Herd, Eric Rayweather, thank you, Kevin.
Yeah.
I also looked it up. And he really is like 5'3", 5'5", something like that. I'm not making fun of the guy. He's just a sharp fella. And he probably is a nice guy. I just don't like being big-wigged. It's just like, come on, bro. Like, whatever. I totally agree with everything you had to say. And what do you think, Mr. Hurt? Oh, also, LSU's winning 6-5 now.
Perfect. Go Tigers. I love when LSU makes it to Omaha, so I'm hoping they get out of the regional and win their supers. But back on topic, I got nothing. Cornerbacks play is shitty. Wide receiver play is shitty. It makes no sense. I play the game because, again, I just like the camaraderie and being a part of the community. If I had to make sense of why this game plays that way on half of the shit, downfield blocking, blocking in the trenches, defensive line engagement, cornerback play.
My favorite is fullbacks
receiver,
who run away from the guy they're supposed to block. That's my favorite. I love when that happens.
All the stuff, being able to throw across the field, across your body, like there's just a lot of things. Hit sticking from like 4 yards away and landing it. There's just too much. If I sat there as a football coach in real life and had to make sense of that, I probably would have aged myself by, and I'd be. I really can't even like try and wrap my brain around it. I just am like, okay, it is what it is. It's the game, it's the product. We just live with it and we move on.
I would say Kevin said the game code is broken, needs to be rebuilt from the ground up. I agree, but I had a thought the other day, y'all. I don't know that this ever will happen, but AI is being used in these games 100%, and it is saving them time. I wonder if they've ever let AI try to look at some of that historical code to fix it. Also, Eric and a few others have talked about how good Madden has felt, and that unabashedly has said how Madden has felt. The presentation for Madden felt better than college football, which already had a super high standard. So I'm starting to get excited. I could foresee a day here very soon where we have to go back to Switch because just trying to play no Switch doesn't work. Who knows? We'll have to get the games in hand. I think currently we all agree it is a more pure way, strategic way to play. But there's some exciting things starting to come out. All right, the mailbag is over. And the winner tonight's going to be Big Hurt. Well, because he was here for the entire show. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to Big Hurt. Big Hurt, the next 1 minute is yours, brother.
Yeah, I'm going to just take a stance on this time of the year. Playing our games, I get excited because, I already talked to Road to Omaha, College World Series. I live in Omaha, so I'm excited about that. I'm in the middle of my football season. I'm busy as ever with my kids. And I just still find time to make and play my games here because I care about this place. I don't want to not have this place be somewhere where I'm a part of in the future. And so I make time for it because I care about it. And I think that's like in life, when you care about something, you can make time for things. And so when you care less and you don't care, you move on and you don't make time for things. Kind of as the old sappy, annoying girlfriend says, like, you don't ever make time for me. You can't ever make time for facts. And like, whatever. But I'm busy playing my games. I'm enjoying them. I'm having fun. And so I'm just going to keep playing. If you guys are interested in the College World Series, or if you're ever in Omaha, hit me up because not only as a few guys have already experienced the restaurant that I work at. You guys can come eat there, but I'd also give you some insight on things to do in Omaha during the CWS time and what to hit up because it's a pretty good time. It's a lot of fun.
It is on the wife and I's bucket list. We will be there one day, so sooner or later, you and I will have dinner together. I got a cousin that's pushing for me to go this year, but financially. I don't think I'm going to be able to pull that off. But here soon, it is on the bucket list, and we are definitely going to make it out there. It's going to be a ton of fun. Lots of really fun information. We're already over an hour and 10 minutes here. We were making really good time, and then Maniac showed up, and these guys started talking. No, I'm just joking. The next show that we may talk, that may be my question. It was supposed to be the question of the night tonight, but we'll save that one for next week to hear, what we're starting to hear about college football and also Madden. The news is exciting. Like, there's some exciting things starting to come out. Let's hope that they deliver on those things, because again, unsolicited, there's been a couple of different people that have already touched been at EA, touched these games, see what's happening, and have been sort of blown away, especially to CFM in Madden around presentation. I think Eric said today most of, not all, but most of the ask for the last 8 years for CFM, whether it's old or new, have been added this year. So I don't know if that means radio show or more presentation. I don't know, but it seems like for whatever reason, they've majorly overhauled this. And I'm just going to make a major assumption here. It's AI. And I'm fine with it. If it gets us better games, then do what you got to do. And we'll see if we can enjoy it. Guys, thank you for hanging out with me tonight. Thanks, Maniac, for coming after your game was played. I still got to go play a CFM game for OMFL college playoffs and play the CPU and finish watching LSU here. So I'm going to get on out of here. Guys, take care of yourselves. Take care of those around you. Know that you are loved and that you mattered. And we'll see you in the next one, okay? Peace.
Those hands.
Smash that like and subscribe.